Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thinking Like a Bank, where we show you how to think like a bank using the same strategies and principles that banks use to help you find more financial freedom. I wanted to make today's episode about writing business plans and why that's important when approaching investors and approaching lenders. So, one of the main focuses is having a sufficient business plan that's properly designed and that can address certain things about yourself as well as your business and your overall objectives for you and your team when getting funding. This is something investors and banks take seriously. And I have with us today an expert in business plan writing and grant writing. Her name is Kristina Wynne. She is the founder and owner of the Winners Club, LLC, a business development consulting company that offers business coaching, access to business funding, and business education. Her devotion to small business started almost 20 years ago when she began working for her family's company, 200 Pharmacy Inc., at 16 as a licensed pharmacy tech. Her love for her family's business and science led her to achieving a bachelor's of biophysics from Chicago State University and a master's of public health from St. Benedictine University. Ultimately, as an adult, Kristina worked for her family's business for 8 years. She stepped down as a director of business development in 2017 to take on an opportunity with Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, where her true passion was revealed, helping small businesses grow. Ultimately, she worked with Goldman Sachs Program for 3 years, and in December of 2020, Kristina was brought on as a business advisor with the Illinois SBDC, located inside the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. She is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority and sits on the board of two STEM-focused non-profits. In all that she has accomplished so far, her greatest achievement is raising her amazing 11-year-old daughter, Kylie. Kristina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I really appreciate being here and I'm excited to share.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to have you on. And before we jump into talking about business plan writing, can you tell? I know I talked about some of your background, but do you mind sharing more about your background and how you got to your company and what you do now?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it has to do with genetics and just I have quite a bit of entrepreneurs in my family. So I think genetically I might just be predisposed to entrepreneurship
Hmm.
and just really seeing it as something that was truly attainable because it was in my family. Um, I'm fairly young
Hmm.
in the business advising world. So I'm 32, which is pretty young when you
Hmm.
look at like my colleagues. But the reason I think I've been able to get to this point is because of my experience in small business specifically. So I worked for a small business, not a startup. This was an established business.
Hmm.
My family's business, we've been in existence for 41 years and I'm 32. So me coming in as a 16-year-old, they were established about 20 years already at that point.
Hmm.
So really coming into something that was already established and finding kind of my way and my footing of what I was really good at, which was that business development piece. So the family, we got certified as a minority owned business. And then from there, I started going to a lot of conferences, looking for opportunities to do larger contracts with hospital systems because we were doing a lot of prescriptions directly to a physician, right? Like they write prescriptions and they
Hmm.
send it to a pharmacy. My family's business is a compounding pharmacy specifically, which means we make medicine, we mix
Hmm.
medicine in laboratories, and it's very customized and specific. And then we also do medical equipment and supply. So there was a lot of opportunity for us in that space of healthcare. And so really being able to lead that charge and find those opportunities, understand how to form strategic partnerships,
Hmm.
and not really being formally trained in this way, but again, I think genetically, I just kind of I had a different vision or lens, I should say, perspective. And so then being able to get the opportunity with Goldman Sachs, which is strictly a education and development program for established small business owners. So I had the experience of working in small business pretty much my whole life. Then I got this experience with Goldman Sachs to really understand how phenomenal business education and training is executed. Not mediocre, but I'm talking premier, top notch programming for small business owners as it related to education and development. So while working for that program, I started my company, which is a small business development consulting company, right? Because I realized not only was I capable of helping my family's healthcare business think through business development opportunities, but I was able to apply it to any type of business. So I'm like, okay, Kristina, bet on yourself and see what you can do with it. So I did. I kept working towards it, and my business continued to evolve. In 2019, the Illinois LGBT Chamber of Commerce reached out to me and asked if I can create an entrepreneurship program specifically for their members because they didn't have one for the LGBT community. And so I created what is now the Winners Club online course, which takes participants through the creation of a business plan and a pitch deck. And then we have a pitch competition at the end of the course. So now, we have different organizations contracting us out to run this programming, creating the business plan and the pitch deck. But my understanding of how to create something like this came from my experience with Goldman Sachs. And so it grew to a point in 2020 where I can no longer work full time for Goldman Sachs because I was the outreach and the alumni director for that program. So I was wearing like two hats, running a business. I'm a mother. Like it was literally too much. And so I had to make a decision, and I decided to leave Goldman, really focus on my business. As I'm transitioning out, the SBDC reaches out to me and asks if I want to be what is called a guest advisor. So I was just doing it, as people were sent to me. And then maybe 2 weeks after that, they were like, hey, what do you think about being a part-time advisor? Like, you're really good at this. And so, and that's now I'm a part-time advisor with the Small Business Development Center, full-time business owner, focusing on, like you already stated, business coaching, grant writing, and proposal writing. So we do professional writing in general, capability statements, business one-pagers, pitch decks. That's kind of in that writing realm as well. And then we do the business education and training, which is the course. And then we do other business trainings as well. So that is my journey. That is not all the way on paper.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristina, for sharing all of that. I love how you mentioned how once you learned how to help grow your family's healthcare business, you were able to take those skills and then kind of mimic them into other areas, even areas that were not healthcare related. I think it's almost like a formula, right? Once you kind of figure out a structure or a formula, you can kind of copy that and use that in different industries and different businesses. And this is how like business coaches are able to coach different types of businesses. So whether somebody owns a restaurant or owns a law firm or owns an accounting firm, you can kind of coach them throughout the processes because there's a lot of applicable items, right?
Yep. And I think it's important for people to kind of know what a business coach / business advisor, like what does that mean? How do you help? So I and the coaches that are part of my team, we are specifically small business coaches and small business advisors. So what that means is we can help you with the business side of your company. We are not helping you with industry specific things. If you're in the restaurant industry, it's your responsibility to know the interworkings of that industry. If you're in construction, professional service, whatever that looks like, we are helping you with the structuring. So what is your go-to-market plan? What's your sales plan? What is your financial plan? If you're working with X amount of dollars, how are you allocating that out to best accomplish what you're looking to accomplish? Who do you need on your team? Like, you can only do so much by yourself, but who are those key people you need next? And how are you going to get them? And how are you going to bring them on from a training lens, right? So really what's your operations plan? If you're hiring people, are you going to be the one that sits there and trains each and every one of them? Or is it something on paper that can kind of walk them through what their job duties and tasks are, right? So that's the business side of what you do. And that's really what a small business coach and advisor would support you with doing. But there are also industry specific coaches and advisors. So I think when people are approaching, possibly using some resource like this, just be clear on what support you need. Do you need industry specific support, or are you truly needing support with just the small business side of what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how you differentiate that. There are the industry specific things, and then there's also the small business, running the actual business side of things. It makes a lot of sense. You also mentioned earlier, you mentioned you help with pitch decks. So what is a pitch deck?
That's a great question. So a pitch deck is a high level description or presentation, I should say, of your business. So a pitch deck can be used for different reasons, but I'm going to speak about a general pitch deck that gives the general information about your business. When we help people create pitch decks, we mirror what's in your business plan, but it's much more high level. So a business plan actually should be about a 30+ page document.
Mhm.
There's a lot of content that goes in there. There's an appendices with different charts and graphs and things of that nature. A
Mhm.
pitch deck is about 11 to 12 slides
Mhm.
with minimal words. It allows you to have branded content. If you have a really awesome product, it
Mhm.
allows you to have images of that product. It allows you to have a team page to show what you look like and the people on your team what they look like. So it is more of a marketing tool, and an opportunity for you to show somebody or explain to someone what you or your company does in a illustrative way.
Mhm. And then who would you be typically showing it to?
So a lot of it. So let's talk through the different ways you can
Mhm.
use a pitch deck. If you are looking for a loan, you would
Mhm.
put it as a part of that application alongside your business plan. Because you have to realize it's people who are reviewing, the underwriters, the actual people who are reviewing the application. You won't be the only application they're reviewing. So if you can give them something like a pitch deck where they can high level see what they're about to embark on, I'm telling you, it's going to set you apart. This is what I know. Okay. So most people don't even know to create a pitch deck.
Mhm.
It's going to set you apart. If you think about pitch competitions, which are a great opportunity for exposure of you and your brand and to get financial support, pitch competitions, there are always cash prizes. That's the purpose of it. So for something like that, it would require you to have a pitch deck because that's what you would use to do that pitch. So another opportunity to support with financial acquisition. And then, when we say a pitch competition, that can be for venture capital, it could be for angel investors, but it can also be like a small business pitch competition. Chambers of commerce do them all the time. A different business development company or business like support companies, they do these type of things because it's a great opportunity for visibility. And again, it gives you some financial support. If you're talking about bringing on different people as far as potential new clients, especially when we think about larger clients, maybe not um, someone who is, so let me say it this way. Um, if I'm bringing on another business coach to my business, I wouldn't give them a pitch deck. We would talk through it. But if I'm looking to contract another chamber of commerce, I'm certainly going to send them a pitch deck because I want them to high level be able to see what we offer and all the things that I described earlier. And so that's another scenario. Maybe you're looking to get a new contract, partnership, or something of that sort where there is some explanation that's needed. A pitch deck is a great way to, hey, I'm touching base. I attached a pitch deck. If you're interested, I would love to set up a call.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think too, like with joint ventures as well, right? Like if you wanted to, for example, reach out to an organization that could potentially help you find more clients,
Absolutely.
I think a pitch deck would be needed then, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so many
Yeah.
different ways. That's what came to my mind first. But a pitch deck, just you think of it as a marketing tool and you think of it as a way to explain what you do high level to people.
Uh-huh.
So think of it as a marketing tool. And marketing runs the world, really,
Yes, really. Mhm.
So it's so many different scenarios it can be used for, and you just customize it for the need that you have. You
Mhm.
wouldn't give the same deck to an investor that you would give maybe, you know, you're doing a workshop or something like that, and you want to go over your business before you get into the content. That's another one. Like my pitch deck that I have, my general one, I use pieces of that when I do trainings because it gives good information, but it's not going to be the same content that I give to an investor. So it's very customizable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be for the particular audience. It has to be, like you said, you wouldn't give an investor the same business plan as you would give a bank, because it would be two different things. One of them would be the bank would be earning interest off the loan, and they would want to look at different figures for them to think about it that way. And then the investors would be looking for equity, or maybe the investors would be looking for a joint venture and equity in the partnership. So they're going to want to look at a different perspective of the numbers and the objectives of the company.
That's right.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, and you mentioned pitch competition a couple of times. Is there like a way that you can find like a website or some sort of resources where you can find a list of upcoming pitch competitions?
There is not like a centralized
Hmm.
database with
Hmm.
that information, but what I recommend people do is get connected with their chambers of commerce,
Uh-huh.
um, also with their state. So your state and your city, whatever your major city is out there, that type of content, their chambers, state entities, all these public entities, they all work together. Like
Yeah.
we all work together for the common good. So if you're connected to one or a couple of them,
Hmm.
you'll start getting notification about a lot of different opportunities that are out there, but it's no real centralized database that you can just kind of get signed up on to continue to get that information.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good business idea, right? To have like a centralized system where you could find these pitch competitions. How about with COVID? Have they become more virtual since COVID?
Absolutely. Yeah. I did a couple of pitch competitions and we did it virtually. It's not the same experience, obviously, as
Hmm.
being in person, but it was still doable. People still took it serious because it was still money on the line. You were still getting judged because the pitch competition, you typically have a panel of judges. You know the rubric and the scoring, what numbers you need to, potentially be meeting and what they're judging you on. So the seriousness doesn't change, but I think just the experience is different because it's virtual.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that 100%. Yeah, where it's different obviously when you talk to people face to face over Zoom. There's a difference in the experience. Now with judging, so I'm assuming the judges are kind of judging two main things, right? One, it would be the business idea itself, and then the second would be probably your presentation style and how you're presenting the idea.
Well, each competition is customized. So I've done one where they were dealing with exporting.
Uh-huh.
So businesses who had a product and they were interested in, doing global sales. And so we were looking at different things like feasibility of what you are proposing. Like, does it make sense?
Okay, okay.
If you're going to get this money, how are you spending it in a way that truly makes sense?
Mhm.
That's always a big one. That's like, you can guarantee that's going to be part of the scoring is, if you win the cash prize, how are you going to use that money to get you to that next level? So it's the people who can really clearly answer that, they
Mhm.
know pretty much everything else because they really know what they're working with. They know what barriers they've encountered. They kind of know how to mitigate them, and maybe they need that financial support to help do that or whatever that looks like. But those people who are really clear on, how am I going to use this money to
Mhm.
really do something impactful to get me to whatever that next level is, those people typically do really well in pitch competition.
Gotcha. Okay. Would you agree that like a good business idea is something that addresses like a problem, like some sort of, if
Yeah.
people are having a problem out there and then you could bring a solution to that problem, or if people want something, like they desire something, and then if you can help connect them to that desire, either one of those two things, that would probably make a good business idea, right?
Definitely. Um, I think so. Again, when you think about pitch competitions, business ideas, venture capital, angel invest, they're all very different.
Yeah, yes.
They're all. So when you think about small business pitch competitions, I mean, you're not inventing anything, so it's nothing really new that you're
Yeah.
doing. So it's again more about, do you really understand what you need to get to that next level? Now, if we're talking about Silicon Valley, okay, you are inventing things and coming up with
Yes.
these scalable products. And then if we're talking about angel investors, that's a different story as well. So
Yeah.
I think, again, it just really depends on where that funding source is coming from. And that kind of makes the difference in what's important or most important. Is it the idea for a small business? Again, it's not really many new businesses popping up. It's just different people kind of doing different things a little bit, but it's nothing really new under the sun in that regard. But tech, yes.
Okay.
Inventions, products, Shark Tank, that's where we get that entertainment from, because they are inventing new solutions, new products, though, so that's different. That's a different, so it's just,
yeah, you're so right. Exactly. I was just going to ask that, like, is there a difference obviously in pitching if you're inventing something new versus taking something that already exists, but you're going to own that company and you're going to do it differently? For example, the difference between inventing a new app or a new technology versus I have this idea where I'm going to open a chain of restaurants. You're not inventing the restaurant idea. You're just expanding it in a different way with your own unique way.
Exactly. 100%. And so for those, it's really about what's your business model or revenue model? Like, who is your market? Have you clearly identified who your customers are? Do you have a marketing plan so that you can be the best restaurant in the world? But of course, if no one knows about you, we all know that story, you won't get the customers. So those type of things are what are really important for that type of business. But when you're inventing products, it's a different ball game at that point. It really, really is. And again, if you got the prototype, you have it's beta, it's out there, you have the data to show, like, hey, this is like Clubhouse is a great example. Okay, that's something that an investor, a venture capitalist would be excited about. So that's different. Then a venture capitalist wouldn't even look at a restaurant chain unless you created a new food solution and but
is that one of the differences between like venture capital and like angel investors? Is venture capital actually, can you tell us the difference between those two?
Venture capitalists care about their return on investment. Like, that's what they care about. How much money are we going to make in investing in this particular product or service? Is very capital driven.
Yes.
Angel investors have more of a mission lens where they actually care about how it's going to impact said community that this is going to be used in. So I think that's the main difference. Of course, angel investors everybody wants some return, but their primary focus is not, I would say, is not the return more than it is. I'll say it this way, they're very specific about the type of missions that they support with their capital. Whereas venture capital, they care about making sure that product that they're supporting is going to scale 100 times what they invested. So they really make that return that they're looking for.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. And they're also looking, like venture capital, also looking for much faster, right? Like like to triple the company's value in like 1 year or something. That's very aggressive, like the high risk, high reward. And then angel investors more like social investing. Like, for example, if somebody has a vitamin and they really care about health, they would invest in that, even if the ROI is not that great, but because they support vitamins and, people's health, that's why they're investing into the company.
Yep. And they typically there's alignment in what they care about and what they support. So if you really want to know if you're a good fit for this said angel investor, look at what they care about, look at what they support, and see if you fit into that model. It's just like going to a bank. When I explain, because you as a small business cannot walk into Chase Bank and get a small business loan. They don't lend to small businesses. But if you do your due diligence and look at who you're looking to get money from, that's grant dollars, that's investors, that's traditional lending, that's non-traditional lending. Do your due diligence on the organization. See what they care about. See what projects they are currently funding and have funded in the past. You will see some commonalities, I promise you, because all of these institutions have, what's the word? Not motive, but they have they know what they're looking to support, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They know the industry that or industries they want to focus on, and they know the ones they're not going to touch.
Mhm.
So you have to do your due diligence, and you can't get frustrated when you get these no's and you haven't done your due diligence because you didn't even make sure you were a good fit for the organization or the entity or person or whomever you were looking to get that capital from.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, going, for example, if you go to Chase Bank and you request a small business loan, we see this a lot too on like the infinite banking side and bank on yourself side, where like I think it's about 85 nationally, 85% of business loans get denied. And for a lot of reasons, it doesn't align with the bank's objective. The person doesn't have a proper business plan. The idea isn't sufficient. There's not enough collateral, not enough experience. There's so many different factors that come into play. But this is like why, like, I think infinite banking is a good idea, which we talk about on all the other episodes. We talk about infinite banking and how you don't have to really qualify for a loan. But I think that's more of like that's more of later down the road when you have enough, when you've already built a business, and you have some establishment. But we're talking about, obviously the main focus of this episode is we're not there yet. We need to get funding. So this is why we need to have proper pitch decks, business plans, and your guidance, as a small business coach, small business advisor, your guidance. And I think too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christina, I think too with a lot of investors, typically investors are in whatever industry you're in, they're more at the experience level. For example, if you go to an investor and you want to, for example, him or her to invest in your restaurant idea, they're typically experienced restaurant owners, or they have a lot of experience in that space. Or if you, for example, in the tech space, you go to an investor who specializes in the tech industry, they're probably like a retired software engineer or something, and that's what they know very well. They know the whole tech space, they know IT very well. That's why they are investing in it, because they understand that. So you want to make it your job to find those people who are experts in that space, so that way they understand your business plan, they understand your mind and your pitch deck and where you want to go.
Yeah. I think it's important. So even for startups, and I'm not
Yeah.
talking ideation business, not pre-venture.
Yeah.
You're making some revenue, you are actually doing business. There are programs. So the SBA has a microloan program
Uh-huh.
where you can get up to $50,000. And the way that the SBA works, they don't lend directly to you like a bank. They
Yeah.
work with banks. And so you have banks who are SBA certified lenders who you are able to get these type of programs like a microloan from.
Mhm.
Okay. So with that being said, a lot of people who I have spoken to, you have this business idea, and what happens is people want to scale too fast is what it
Yeah.
really boils down to. So really you could use a $10,000 investment and do some incremental growth, and
Yeah.
then maybe bump it up to a 20,000 to do this next incremental growth. Well, what people want to do is get the $100,000 investment and then get from point A to point Z
Yeah.
and not take those increments. And what happens is you aren't developed enough as a business owner. Yes, you might have experience as a chef.
Yeah.
Yes, you might have worked for the finest restaurants for years, but you have not run a business, and it's different.
Yes.
It is different than managing a business. There are things that you don't even know exist or that you have
Yes.
to think about. And so this is why banks are wary of giving people this type of loan. I think any smart investor would be wary unless they're going to be extremely hands-on, meaning I've owned my own restaurants, and yes, you're a great chef, but this will not be I give you $100,000 and let you run in the wind and figure
Yeah.
it out,
Yes.
because I know you don't have the experience,
Mhm.
period. And so I think if people get out of like this, dreaming is great, but like you have to bring it down to the reality of
Yeah.
what you're working with, like you simply don't have the experience to do these large grandiose things a lot of times, but you need to start from the ground up. So when you get there, if you're hiring people, they can't tell you what to do because you know how long it should take to do X, Y, and Z. You know
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much it should cost because you did it yourself. And I've talked to a lot of people who get into this place of they've invested all this money and nobody's walking through the door. Nobody's buying the stuff. Nobody's doing X, Y, and Z. But it's because they didn't take that incremental
Yeah.
approach of take it slow and build out rather than just trying to come out swinging like that. So I think that's important to know that there are programs out there that will support you on a micro loan level for you
Uh-huh.
startups out there, you know, and you could do something with that. You can do something with that to begin building that clientele,
Mhm.
and even for yourself, prove that you know what you're doing to yourself, because that confidence in yourself as the owner is important too.
Yeah, I would say that 80% of running a business at a small business level is the small business owner believing in him or herself. 80% of that. It's you have to tell
Totally.
yourself that you could do this.
Totally.
And then obviously 20% there's the technical things, the details and everything else. But you're so right. You said that, like a lot of people, one of the reasons why I think a lot of people fail is they try to go too big too fast and take on so much risk instantly. Like they borrow a lot of money from
Yep.
family or from credit cards and
Yep.
from different sources, and then they don't have enough customers, or they do have customers but they just can't manage everything. It's too much. It's too, what one huge problem with running a small business is there's too many small things that go in all these different directions, from marketing to budgeting to the accounting to taxes to legal stuff to customer service. All these different things, you're stretched in all these different directions. And you're so right. You never even saw these things coming until you actually do them. So I think the best thing you can do in business is get experience on a smaller level, micro level, and then build gradually, reinvest back into your business. I'm a big fan of coaching. I think coaching and mentoring could make or break your business. It could be the reason
Certainly.
why you're successful and the reason why you're
Certainly.
not successful.
Certainly. I'm sorry. I'm just
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
yeah.
Certainly. People lose so much money trying to do it themselves,
Yeah.
seriously. And it's like the same type of mistakes. And it's like, man, I wish you would have reached out to somebody, because we could have easily told you, like, absolutely not. You need to
Yeah.
do this way. But you just don't know what you don't know. So
Hmm.
coaches are so important for that very reason. It's we've seen and talked to hundreds of businesses. And again, going back to what I said before, on a small business side, it's not a whole bunch of new stuff. The industry, even with we go off of industries. The restaurant industry is the restaurant industry. You had
Hmm.
industry disruptors like a Uber situation, but it's still transportation. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
so on a business level, things are very much, they are what they are. So we've experienced, talked to, help so many different people that we can tell you a lot of times how to avoid these different type of pitfalls, but you have to engage somebody, and it's okay to invest in yourself.
Hmm.
People, which is interesting to me, you'll invest in a building
Hmm.
because you just know for a fact, I need this building to do this business, but you won't invest in an attorney on the front end. You won't
Yeah.
invest in an accountant on the front end. You won't invest in a business coach. These type of people are really important for your
Yes.
success. You don't want to on the back end be getting sued. Now it's
Yeah.
really expensive to
Yes.
have these professional services that were actually affordable if you bring them in on the front end, just to make sure you are doing things properly. You have the right documents in place. You have your entity set up properly. Everything is done
Uh-huh.
properly. So as you grow and as you get those opportunities that could really allow you to scale, you have everything done the correct way.
Hmm. Absolutely, 100%. Rich Dad Poor in Rich Dad Poor Dad's book, Robert Kiyosaki, he mentions that um, a lot of people want to hold back on hiring professionals on the intellectual property, like accountants, lawyers, business advisors, business coaches, when in reality, those are more important than the actual physical items you're investing in. It's more
Absolutely.
important to invest in people and their intellectual knowledge and their abilities and their ability to help you from an intellectual standpoint rather than the physical things that you're buying and the tools you're buying, because the tools and physical things don't really mean anything if you don't have the proper knowledge backing either on your part or somebody else with proper knowledge backing you up.
Because you want to know what it boils down to. It boils down to strategy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Strategy is huge.
Yes.
You will not be the only plumbing business. You won't be the only construction business, whatever business. It's all about the strategy. And you can't have a tight strategy if you don't have all of the pieces to look at to
Yes.
put a strategy together. So it's kind of that thing. It's like when you bring the right people together, you as that owner, as the person who really needs to be the decision maker, you can think more strategically because again, you should be the industry expert. If you are starting a business, I say it's EEC. You need expertise, you need expertise, experience, and connections. The expertise, experience, and connections, you can only get that through operating in whatever
Yes.
industry you want to start a business in. So if you haven't worked in said industry you're looking to start a business in, I don't ever recommend you do it because you don't know anything for
Hmm.
real.
Hmm.
You watching YouTube and now, oh, I can do that. It sounds so, no, you have no experience. You have no expertise. You have no connection. So now you're paying more for stuff that you don't need to because you don't know anybody,
Yes.
you know? Um, I don't even remember why I went off
I
on
know you're
that
so
tangent.
you're so right. Exactly. Yeah, definitely investing in people is a huge thing. Um, let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about business plan. So, what makes a business plan a good plan versus not a good plan? What's the difference between those?
Okay, a couple of things. A lot of people are unaware of what a fully flushed out business plan actually looks like.
Hmm. Okay.
Because there are a lot of shortened versions of it, and so people are under the assumption that you can take this shortened version to a bank
Uh-huh.
and get support, and that just simply isn't the case. A bank is going to want to see a fully flushed out business plan. So let's
Uh-huh.
talk through what is in a fully flushed out. You'll have your executive summary,
Uh-huh.
you'll have your company overview. The company overview, so the executive summary will include your business name and locations, your products and services you offer, your mission and vision statement, and the specific purpose of this plan. So if it's to secure investors, if it's to get a loan, if it's to set strategies because you're starting this business, and so this is my strategy and moving forward, whatever that is, will be in the executive summary. The second part is the company overview. So even though it sounds like it's like, oh yeah, my business is in Illinois and this is what we do. No, there's a lot more that goes into it. So the legal structure of your business,
Hmm.
is it a corporation or LLC? It'll
Hmm.
give a brief history, the nature of your business and the needs or demands you plan to supply. It'll give an overview of your products, services, customers, and supplies, a summary of company growth, including financial and market highlights if you're already doing business. It will also include a summary of your short and long-term business goals and how you plan to make a profit. That's the company overview. Then you have the products and services description. So it'll include a description of those that emphasizes the customer's benefits, an explanation of the market role of your product or service and the advantages it has over your competitors, information about the product service life cycle, relevant copyright, patent, or trade secret data, research and development activities that may lead to new product and services.
Hmm. Hmm.
The next section is the market analysis.
Uh-huh.
So this is a sketch of your targeted customer segments, including size and demographics of each group, an industry description and outlook, including statistics,
Hmm.
historical, current, and projected marketing data of your products and services, a detailed evaluation of your competitors, highlighting their strengths and weaknesses. So it's important for this historical, current, and projected marketing data that will be for each
Hmm.
product and service, not the total. The
Okay.
operating plan is next. This will give an explanation of how you'll promote your business to customers and enter the market.
Hmm.
It'll detail the cost, pricing, promotions, and distribution logistics information. It'll give an explanation of how the company will function, including the operation cycle. So this is from acquisition of supplies all the way through to production to delivery. It'll give information on sources of labor and number of employees. It will also give data on operating hours and facilities. The sixth portion is the marketing and sales plan. So this will give a description of the company's desired strategic positioning. It'll detail descriptions of the company's products and service offerings and potential product extensions. So this will
Hmm.
be the detailed portion. Description of the company's desired image and branding strategy, description of the company's promotional strategy, pricing strategy, and current and potential strategic marketing partnerships and alliances. And then finally is the financial plan. It'll give the historical financial data. If you're already established, you want to include income statement, balance sheets, and cash flow statements for the past 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
You need to give a realistic perspective financial information. So this would include realistic now,
Mhm.
forecasted income statement, balance sheets, and cash flow statements, and capital expenditure budget for the next 5 years, and then a brief analysis of financial data and featuring a ratio and trend analysis of all financial statements. I encourage people who are not well versed on the accounting side or
Yeah.
financial side of the business to engage your accountant for
Yes.
creating the financial plan. What's most important, you heard all that information. I was trying to get through it kind of
Yeah.
quickly. There's so much more detailed information that goes into a business plan than what people, I think, really realize.
Yeah.
So what happens is, even if you pull a template off of, because like Microsoft Word, they have a phenomenal template.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to process and apply this information to your business, you're going to be lost. It's
Yeah.
like they're telling you what to put there, but like you don't really know how to make sense of something like that. What's most important about a business plan, it has to make sense.
Yes.
You can put stuff, you can have a 50+ page document just because you're just putting a whole bunch of stuff in there. If it does not make sense, it will not get you funded.
Mhm.
So it all works together. If you say that you're doing 50,000, you're projecting 100,000 over the next year, and then to 110 or whatever over the second year, or whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
your sales and marketing plan needs to support how you're acquiring these customers. Your infrastructural operations plan needs to support how you're going to take on this influx of customers. What
Yes.
systems or people need to be put in place so that you're able, so it all has to really make sense for it to be fundable. Because what's important to understand is that banks, investors, all these entities that lend capital, these are businesses as well, and they're
Mhm.
in the business of making their money back.
Yep.
So they have to assess the risk of, does it seem like this will be successful enough for them to pay this money back? And so your business plan, especially if you have not been in business at least 3 years, is really going to be the document to support this business that you are starting, and to show that you know how you're going to grow it, who your customers are, and all the things that I just explained.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Is there, and then how can listeners reach out to you to learn more about business plan and professional writing?
Absolutely. So I would say give me a call or a text.
Mhm.
That's the easiest way. So the number is 312-523-8540. The website is also really good. We have an intake form,
Yeah.
and I encourage you to do that because it helps me to guide what we're talking about off of when we get connected. So the website is thewinnersclub.org.
Mhm.
Winners is spelled with a Y. So the Winners Club, instead of an I, you put a Y.org.
Yeah. And if you're on YouTube right now watching us, you could see behind her the
Oh yes,
winnersclub.com.
you can.
Yeah. And I'll
I,
also put this, and if you're not on YouTube, that's fine. I'll put it also in the show notes, thewinnersclub.com, your phone number, and your social media handles. Christina, thank you so much for joining us. Any final words for the audience?
Final words would be, take advantage of free resources that are out
Mhm.
there, like the the SBDC is national. So if you're
Yeah.
in the United States, there is a SBDC out there for you. We specifically offer no cost business advising.
Uh-huh.
There's also organizations like SCORE. They offer no
Uh-huh.
cost business mentorship. But take advantage of those free resources that are out there if you're not ready to make financial investments, because you don't have to do it alone, but you do have to do your part. And if you say you need help, schedule the meeting. It's not our responsibility to schedule meetings with you. You have to do that.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice. Take advantage of the resources that are out there for you.
Absolutely. And that's actually how you and I met. I
Exactly.
reached out to the SBDC, and I was lucky enough to be connected to you. You helped me do a business plan. And yeah, and thank you so much for helping me. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your expertise.
It was such a pleasure. I'm really grateful that we were able to do this. I love reciprocal relationships. So this was amazing. And I'll definitely be sharing it with my audience as well, because this is good information. It's money out here for people. It really is. But you have to know what you need to do to be able to access it. So I'm grateful I was able to do it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristina.
You're welcome.
To learn more about what we do and how we can help you grow more wealth, please visit www.finassetprotection.com. That's FIN assetprotection.com. The topics presented in this podcast are for general information only and not for the purposes of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation.